Hello friends, I'd like to bring this to you in 3 parts. So first I'm going to talk about the decline of Christianity and why I think that might be happening. Then I'll talk about spirituality and my views on that. And then I'll open up a new topic that we can talk about for the next round of videos. But before I begin, I want to address something. Some of y'all talked about atheism like it was a spreading disease. I think it's important to say for the record that we love atheists. We believe Christianity is true, and that the world would be a better place if more people believed more true things. Just because we think atheists have an inaccurate worldview does not mean we hate atheists, or agnostics, or Muslims, or Hindus, or anyone else. So the ultimate causes of the decline of Christianity in the United States can be attributed to a number of factors, I think, a number of ultimate causes. It's a complicated issue. But I want to talk about one that I think is a major contributor, and that is that the church has sort of losing its grip on reality, and people are noticing and leaving the church because of it. And I think that's a somewhat justifiable response. I'll discuss a few specific examples. And heads up, some of you, one of you, is going to be a little bit annoyed with me. Sorry. Because one of these examples is evolution. Evolution is obviously real to someone who understands the subject. Just like gravity is obviously real. The difference is gravity is really simple to understand. Evolution is genuinely difficult to understand. All you have to do is watch Pokemon or X-Men to understand that most people, even people that believe in it, don't understand how evolution works. And I hope you'll forgive some lazy citation. I have links to Wikipedia in the description. I didn't want to spend a whole night of research right before a test to get a more accurate source. Creationism was popularized in the 1960s by a book called The Genesis Flood by a pair of Seventh-day Adventists. Prior to that, Christians were generally accepting of evolution and the Big Bang Theory. I was raised creationist. When I learned about evolution, it was a serious challenge to my faith. I made it through. I believe in evolution and God. But a lot of people, when they learned about evolution, decided to stop believing in God. A second delusion that a lot of Christians have is a result of a bad theodicy. So a theodicy is an answer to the problem of evil. The problem of evil is, if God is good, why do bad things happen? I'm not going to get too far into that, but a lot of people have chosen to say, well, God has this plan. And every time a bad thing happens, it actually contributes to God's plan. We just can't see how it contributes to God's plan because God is so much bigger than us and he knows so much more than us. I'm a firm believer that when bad things happen, it's just bad. I don't think bad things make the world a better place somehow or contribute to God's greater plan. Now that's not to say I don't believe God has a plan. I don't think it's like a structured, well, like these historical events are going to happen in this order. I think it's more of a, God wants a people who will love him and who will love each other. That's the plan. So when Christians believe that, oh, everything contributes to something greater, everything is for the greater good, it's obviously distasteful to people who have had bad things happen to them. Like, oh, your child dying somehow contributed to the greater purpose of God, or, oh, your cancer somehow contributes to the greater good. No, it doesn't. It obviously doesn't. So this next issue is a little different from the others, in that instead of affecting Christianity broadly, it affects only a few subcategories. And that's prosperity gospel. That's when the pastor gets up and says, put as much money as you physically can into the offering plate and good things will happen to you. Now, Christian belief does dictate that you should give 10% of your income to charitable causes and to the church, so that way they can have the lights on, that way the pastor can eat. Your pastor shouldn't be a millionaire. That's not pastoring correctly. And outsiders see this and say, Christianity is a scam. Prosperity gospel is a scam. Yeah, and it's a denomination of Christianity, maybe? The last delusion that I'll mention is the idea that you can prove the existence of God. You can't. This is an issue of faith. It's a big topic. I'm going to make an extra video just covering that. And with that, I'll transition over to spirituality, which is not a subject I am an expert in. I am a materialist. I see things in terms of particles and light waves and cells and neurological connections and biochemical mechanisms. This is how I see the world. But I realize I don't see the whole world. There's also this element of spirit, which I don't fully understand because I am a materialist. Maybe Aaron's definition was right. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not skilled to say. Spirit is not composed of atoms, nor does it exert a physical force on them. And yet it has an effect on the world in which we live. Not something I grasp easily. Part of the issue is it's difficult to put the spirit world into words. It's more of a feeling. And guys, I can go into a Pentecostal church and not feel anything. I'm not so arrogant as to trust solely my own experience. There's people we went to school with and my own sister who have spiritual needs and experiences that I simply don't comprehend. Now, this doesn't make me any less Christian. Christianity is more than spirit. So that was a long, rambly way to say, I don't know, but someone does. So with that said, I'd like to introduce the new topic. Although, Josh, you brought up the topic, but you didn't elaborate on it at all. I'd like you to do that if you could. For the following conversation, I'd like to talk about the proper allocation of resources. I know that sounds dry, but hear me out. Christians, and not just Christians, people of other walks as well, give lots of money in donations and charity. And it doesn't work because we don't spend it well. My sister recommended for me a certain documentary. I'll link it in the description. It's long, so if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. But it talks about how charitable intentions do not always result in charitable results. For example, when you donate shoes to children in Africa, suddenly the shoemaker goes out of business. Or why would you give a donation to a political party when you could donate money to someone who's feeding people who are starving? Why give money to animal rights groups when we haven't even got human rights figured out? Now, if we could, I'd like to avoid tax policy and talk more about our own personal choices on where we allocate resources. Like, is it even ethical for me to buy the new 21 Pilots album when I could use that same money and give it to a business that hires exclusively persons with disabilities? And it's easy to say, I don't have time to worry about where I'm allocating every single dollar. But it's easy for us to say that because we aren't recipients of charity. And actually, we are recipients of charity. I mean, we all received a specific scholarship at school that was given as a donation to the school to be used as scholarships by a person who could have chosen to donate to a different organization. Should they have really given it to wealthy people like us? By wealthy, I mean I have food in the fridge for like a whole week and I don't have to worry about going hungry. It's not like we're millionaires or anything. I await your responses.